So I have
Yep.
the pleasure of interviewing you today, Karen Baird from
Yes.
Lawrence Technical University. Is that right?
Lawrence Technological University. Yes. Yes.
Tell me a little bit about the school and the program, Karen.
All right. So Lawrence Tech is located in Southfield, Michigan, and it's a primarily an engineering school. Um, Obviously being a tech school, and but they have expanded, and they definitely they have business. We have psychology, and just recently we added nursing to
Oh, wow.
obviously attract. Not that it has to be all female based, but definitely attract more females to the engineering aspect of campus and to help with athletics. So our athletic program is about 10 years old, and the softball program is only 4 years old. So
Okay.
yes.
And you've been head coach there. Was I reading it right? 3 years?
3 out of the 4 years.
Three out of
Yeah.
four.
I didn't start the program. I had the easy part. I came in after they had to build it all.
Right. And you talk about that, and the building is tough, but you came right into it and played in the championship game. Am I right?
Exactly. That first year, it was phenomenal. We have so obviously it was mainly a sophomore based team at that time, and it was really cool to see how they just really jumped in that first year and bought in and really it was all about the team, and they really made sure that they developed the younger ones that year. And then I'll talk a little bit about them later, my seniors now. So
hey, if we start crying, it's okay. I get it.
yeah. Right.
It's been an emotional roller coaster for most coaches in this country. And speaking of that, I was looking. You were 11-11, and I dug a little bit deeper than that. It looked like a 2-game win streak, and 5 out of the last 6. Sounds like y'all were on track to have a pretty good season. Am I right?
We were, yeah, we were. So obviously now you look at, it was a senior and junior, a couple sophomores and some freshmen. And the senior class was really our leadership class. It was the inaugural class. So they had that mindset. They wanted to win a championship before they left. And so we were 11-11, and we created a very hard schedule this year for them. Basically, last year, so obviously the first year they made it to the WAC tournament, which was an awesome feat for a first year program, and then we went to the championship game their sophomore year. Awesome. Then junior year we kind of faltered at the end, but the beginning we were 17-1. So right, so it was one of those things where we as a program decided, okay, we went 17-1. What was the game changer? What did we have to change? And not saying that 17-1 they were easy teams that we played, but we felt that we had to make the schedule harder at the beginning to really get a better mindset for the end. The end of the season. So that was kind of where we were. And yeah, we were on a roll. We were in Florida. That's kind of where we ended, was with Florida, our Florida trip. So
yeah, I've talked to a lot of coaches, a lot of athletes. I like to go consistent and ask a lot of the same questions just to see how they reacted to it. Tell me how you informed your team there would no longer be a season, and just dig into that a little bit.
Right. So we were lucky. So we were in Florida, and as you see the week developing in Florida, you could see, okay, NCAA basketball tournament got canceled when we were down there. Yeah. And so, whoa, okay, something's
big deal.
Yeah, this is starting, something's happening here. So, we were playing, we were going along, and it was Wednesday night when we really said, and Friday was our last games, and Saturday we were supposed to leave. So, so Thursday night we pulled our captains in and we said, hey, you guys, we don't know if we're going to have a season. So Thursday we pulled then the seniors in and said, we're going to have senior day on Friday. We don't know. We do not know if we're going to have a season, and we need to do something for you guys, in front of your parents.
Good for you.
Crowd. So that morning, so that we only had one game because the other team had actually backed out for that. So it was just one game. It was perfect. And so we did a senior day. We celebrated all of them before the game. And then after the game, I started all the seniors in some positions that they hadn't played, but I was like, forget it. They're all playing. So it was only a senior junior game that day. we won. That was a good thing. At least they ended on a positive note.
Right.
It was the hottest game ever just because we had so many errors, and we hadn't made that many errors all year. So, but we had made a decision on Thursday night that we were going to leave Friday night.
Okay.
So we actually got our plane tickets switched from Saturday to Friday because, again, everything that was unfolding, we didn't know, oh my gosh, are we going to have to rent vans? Is this going to be a situation where, we just didn't know. There was a lot of unknowns. So we got it switched. And so we came back to the house, we got changed. We went to the airport, checked in, got all our bags checked in. And then my AD called me while we were eating lunch. And I had to turn away from everybody because they knew something was going on. So I just kind of walked away, and I knew at that point. So I let them all eat. I didn't say anything, let them kind of eat, and then said, hey, let's meet over there in like 5 minutes.
Oh, man.
So we kind of had our own little spot, and we were in the airport, and we gathered up, and I told them, and I'm probably getting a couple teary-eyed here, but it was probably one of the hardest things especially for the senior class, just because they were inaugural class. You wanted them to see through their 4 years, and they were just a special group. Like, I've coached for, I don't know, over 20 years, and it's just a unique group that I've never really had. And so that made it even more difficult.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, there was a lot of tears, a lot of hugging. We did a big old group hug. I think it lasted for like 4 minutes, like you just kept
held each other, huh?
Right. Yeah. And then I said, you guys, everybody needs to process this, like you got to process it in your own way. And so I just gave them time, and I said, just do what you need to do. Make sure you're at the gate so we can get on the plane. So
yeah, how you're getting home if you don't go now.
Right. Maybe they wanted to stay in Florida though too.
Yeah, that's true.
So what ended up happening was what was a really cool situation when we flew from Florida, and our layover was in Baltimore. We ended up joining up with a baseball team. Now I can't even think of the name of the team, but they were in the back because we flew Southwest. They were in the back of the plane with us. And oh my gosh, we were doing all our softball chants, and they were joining us. And like literally for the hour and a half, I'm sure that everybody else on the plane was like, really right now? But they just every time figured out how to have fun, difficult, situations. So
that's awesome. That is so amazing. That and these kids will never forget that plane ride. Like
Right.
But the bus rides, how about the plane ride when Corona hit?
Right, exactly. When the season ended, what did we do?
So told them you said you gave them time.
Right.
How have you been in contact with them? What have you been doing to keep them together?
Right. So we after that, I felt it very strongly to keep the team that had played on Zoom meetings and or meetings in general, but online. And then I would do individual meetings with them. And I kept with the captains. So I kind of kept the exact same routine per se without practice going until about, you could tell like about, I would say beginning of April, mid-April, that it was like, all right, this is getting a little bit, for them, and they needed to start focusing on their work. So then we went like about 3 weeks without, seeing each other. And it was so weird. It was the strangest thing, but then we had a wrap up, call, and right before they did their, right after they did their finals. And so that was good. And just that was our goodbye to each other until
you got a little bit of closure.
Yep, exactly. But what was neat is, so in the meantime, when I had that time where the team, we were doing all the calls, I actually stopped those, but then I started just doing the calls with the returners only. So it was a small little knit group. And so we did a lot of, team building, some mindset stuff, honestly, not mindset. And so we worked on a lot of that with them. And it was good. It was a good breakdown. And then in between there, I started talking with our next year's team because we're able to do that. Right. And so that was even like, like the presentations that the returners did with themselves, they did those presentations with the future team. So that a really good thing to do for sure.
Wow. I'm kind of getting chill bumps just thinking about the seniors and, coming back in and maybe even do something like that. That's all.
I think it's really important to connect with them, obviously beyond the field.
Yeah.
But it was funny. We just sat in the meetings. The first time it was like 2.5, 3 hours. Next time it was more like 2 hours, and next time it was 2 hours. But it was just fun, just sitting there talking with them, and just seeing how they're doing. So
and unique because you get to know them a little bit,
right,
a little bit better because you're not so engulfed in getting them better physically for the season.
Right. And we didn't even talk softball. That was what the cool part. It was all about, what are you doing? What's going on? How's the family? What's how's the job search? How's law school? Our preparation and medical school preparation, and so it was really cool.
Yeah, I bet. And talking about this is not going to define you. You're going to keep persevering. That is a mindset.
Correct.
One question we always ask teams we work with, or when we're doing presentations, is what would you consider your sport percentage to be mental? And Karen, what would you say about softball? How much percent?
I honestly, you could say anywhere from 80 to 90% for sure. There's no doubt about it. And I think that's really important because it's an individual game, but it's a team game. And there's so much downtime. There's so much offset time. You have an at bat, and then you might not get an at bat for another 25 minutes, half hour. And then maybe you have a ball hit to you in the outfield, and you might not have another ball hit to you, whatever, for 10, 15 minutes. So it's just one of those things that we really talk about preparation and practice mindset and game mindset, and just trying to get them. I talked about the 17-1. The difference of us this year is we fought through more adversity in those 11 games, or 22 games that we had until the very end of our season last year. Like the very end is when we started fighting through adversity.
Right.
And so that's what was awesome to see, how they did a much better job with their mindset going into those 22 games, and how different it was and how they had to fight through it. Because there was a time this season, because we played a couple of good teams, obviously. We played some ranked teams down at the NFCA Classic and the first tournament down in Cumberland. And just the team, how they fought through it and battled through it was awesome to see. And staying together was very important for the team. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well,
it's cool.
That's awesome. Battle, and it's so weird, the sport, because like you said, it might be an hour before you get a ball again.
Right.
The adversity piece, handling it early is kind of better than handling it late, because you know how to handle it now, right?
Correct. That's exactly it.
Well, so how do you guys practice the mental game?
Right. So what do you do between that last year and this year? So we actually, a couple of things. We actually, in the fall, we do classroom sessions. So we'll do one time a week. And so we have practice to start basically our time. But then we'll do classroom session until like almost December, right up until they have finals. And basically this year we did winning mindset. The clips of that. We did the eyeball test. We talked to our players a lot about eyeball test. The eyeball test is basically, if you walk on the field, I shouldn't, as a coach or a family member or a fan, be able to know if you're winning, you're losing, if you had a horrible at bat, a great at bat, whatever it is, your posture and what you look like should be, demonstrate that, here we go. We're not losing. I have a good posture about me, and good attitude about me too. So we talked a lot about that. I've done some John Gordon. We read a book. The Hard Hat is actually one of the big books for our team that we really have. And we actually have a hard hat that we created so the last 3 years, every single freshman class has written something in it after they've read the book, and then they understand it. So they'll, write on the hard hat. And so we give that out at the end of every game. And basically what it is it's not who got the winning hit or was the winning pitcher. It's the teammate who exemplified what it is to be a teammate that day.
I love that.
Did they pick somebody up? Did they, like, were they the bullpen catcher, like, for the entire game and didn't complain? Like, just the behind the scenes stuff. So that's something that we really emphasize. So the Hard Hat is a book that we read every year.
Okay, so let me just ask you this: with the Hard Hat, who votes? I mean, do you pick it, or have you got all eyeballs?
Sometimes we'll ask them. Sometimes we'll do it. Just kind of feel the mood of the team, and and kind of go with that, because you can see if the team kind of is pumped up. You're like, all right, hey, who got the Hard Hat today?
Right.
So, and they'll talk about that. So
it's good, and that's a bonding thing too. I mean, legacy. That's awesome.
Right. Yeah.
Multiple winners. Can you get it 2 times in a row?
Yeah, you can totally get it 2 times in a row. You can have 3 people too for one game. So however everybody felt, or the coaches felt, and everything. So it's been a good thing for the team, right? Like building the team, that it's not, because I think too many times that people, it's all about the starters. No, it's not by any means. It's all about, like, so we have 20 players on the team. It's about 20 of us,
Right.
I mean, that's what we really emphasize in our program. So, but we also, you talk about the legacy, after their freshman year, like they go through a semester. We talk about, we have a legacy wall in my office.
Okay.
And then they'll write a legacy that they want to leave. And what's really cool is when we did that, started when I first got there 3 years ago, it's great to see the senior class that just left, all of exactly what they left. So,
and that's something we teach a lot, and then a lot of people teach this, but you got to write those goals down, right? A legacy is pretty much a goal, wouldn't you say?
Great. Oh, for sure, because it's you always want to leave the program better than what you came into it, and how they really definitely, that's funny, how they definitely, had their mindset of what they wanted for the program. It was really unique at that time, but even better when they truly lived up to it for the last 3 years. So.
Yeah. As a coach, sometimes you have a little fear in your heart to put yourself out there and do something like that, because what if they don't respond? But if you're all in, man, they're going to be all in, right?
Right. That's exactly it. And honestly, I've been really lucky at LTU, just phenomenal players, great parents. And it goes back to leadership. It goes back to our leadership, and, the expectations, and being a great teammate, and, having great positive attitude and work ethic. That's like the 3 things that we really emphasize. Keep it that simple. Yeah. But, they all know, they understand that this is the expectations of the program. And
let me go back. You said positive attitude. Give me the other 2.
Positive attitude, work ethic, and being a great teammate.
Love that. I was hearing someone talk yesterday, Olympic gold medalist wrestler, and said the same thing. Got to be a great teammate. We talk about how to be a great teammate. I'm like, yeah, it's a great concept, especially when you're trying to build a program.
Right. Exactly. Because you want to.
People don't know. It is an individual game. You got to do it on your own.
Right. So.
Okay. Body language. That's what I was kind of hearing from you earlier. So give me a person that maybe you've helped fix their body language, and what did you do?
Oh boy. Okay. I think of one of our pitchers, a senior pitcher. Her sophomore year, it was like body language, or even just how she came across to her teammates. Like if they dropped a ball, it was almost like you could tell she blamed them. Like, as a pitcher, her development as a pitcher to understand that she needs everybody behind her, and that mindset change came. It came in the middle of that sophomore year, and then to see her, like, her junior and senior year, definitely. Hey, and then pointing her to her teammates and like, yeah. It was just that in itself was just really cool to see.
A total new person almost.
Very much so, and she became a better pitcher because of it. So.
And so what was how could you attribute that? Did you call her out? Hey, you've been a crappy teammate, or what'd you do?
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Yes, we did. We're like that's not how you treat your teammates. Like, and she had never really, I think, been told that.
Right.
Because she had been such a good pitcher, and sometimes we treat them a little differently of, how things go. I'll be nice about that. So we call her out, and we're like, no, you can't do that. and so then every time she did it, we're like, this is what you did. So then she started understanding.
Right.
I think
did you use video to show her?
As I was just about to say, there was a couple of practices that we even showed, hey, look at what you're doing, and in a game, because we were able to film some games, obviously, and we were like, hey, and she's like, oh.
Yeah, once they see it through others' eyes, it really changes that perspective.
Oh, for sure.
Awesome.
But,
and you talk about it and address it like, this is what I mean. I mean, you see that little sass you got going on or whatever it is. I mean,
right.
It's different for all players.
Yep.
That's great. So that big jump was, would you say, from sophomore to junior year?
Sophomore to even the end of her sophomore year. And then junior year, she was a totally different pitcher. It was really cool.
Right.
So, yep.
That's good. Good job, Coach. What about other things you do for mindset? You guys work on visualization or any kind of breathing techniques or anything like that?
Yeah, so we do some, and I do it more for them to do it on their own. As far as visualization, like we'll talk about, like when we do our classroom sessions, what does that look like, and how do you positively see the impact, like during your at bat? Are you seeing yourself hitting the ball, or are you seeing yourself grounding out? What are you seeing? And so a lot of times, they've realized, oh my gosh, I'm looking more negatively. And I'm like, yeah, that's probably the results you're getting, So we gotta change that mindset. And that's gotta be a better mindset before you get even 3 batters in. So we do a lot of it's a 1, 2, 3, 4 system. 1, you're on deck, or you're in the batter's box. 2, you're on deck. 3, you're in the hole. 4, you're kind of next one up. And so we give them the preparation of what that person, the 4th one up, the 3rd one up, the 2nd one up, and when you're in the batter's box, what kind of mindset do you have for each thing, and what are you looking for? So it gives them that preparation, visually. How are things going to look? Is there going to be a situation that I need to look at and get my mindset for that?
Right.
So I think that's helped a lot, and kind of to the process, actually, right? Like, because most sports are process driven, and we definitely have that with baseball, softball, whatever.
Yeah.
So this year, to talk about like other things, so we actually decided to do like a little theme this year, and we decided to climb Mount Kilimanjaro.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah, so it was interesting. So when I told the team at the beginning of the year, we bought a whole bunch. We bought the books, we had video, and so I did some research. Now Southfield is in the city, so I had to do some research of a park that kind of looked like maybe some rocks or something. Weird enough, Southfield had some rocks at this one park, and it like kind of like you felt like you were going to be climbing Mount Kilimanjaro. Like, just it was cool. So we went to their park, and that's how we started it out. They did some research, so I gave them all these questions, and how we do a lot of things is we break our team down into 4 units. We have a blue unit, a black unit, a white unit, and a gray unit. So it's 4 players. And so when I want to do something, I'm just like, hey, go with your unit. So they do a lot of research. They did a lot of research on Mount Kilimanjaro. So I had all these questions. Okay, look at the trail. What trail would you take, to possibly climb the mountain, and why? So that was like one question. What would you pack and why? How would you guys gather things? So it was just really thinking about that process of getting up to the mountain. And then, so everything that we did was related to Mount Kilimanjaro. And, we started in phases. So phase 1, then the next one, and then there's 5 phases to climb Mount Kilimanjaro. So we were climbing each one and getting through it and saying, okay, how did we make it through that one? What did we do? What are some things as a team? And just kept on thinking of the process and the mentality. And then, of course, then we watch people actually climb it, like on some video, and they talked about it. And so that, so then they felt really into it.
You really submerged their senses, I guess you say, right?
Very much so. Very much so. And it was, and so now we're like, wow, we weren't able to make it to the summit, like the summit, like we felt like it was going to be that championship game, like that's what we really wanted. So, so we're probably going to have to climb another mountain, this year.
There's always those peaks and valleys, right?
That's right. That's right. So, but what was cool is about a week ago, one of our returners sent me a video and said, "Hey, coach, I'm climbing, the Appalachian Mountains right now. I just want to let you know." Like, so they really were into it. So it was
still
really
tying it in.
Yeah. Yep.
And before you know it, some of them will probably actually climb that mountain, I'm sure.
I'm hoping. I told
cool?
them I would love to. Like, I was like, gosh, I would love to. But and a couple of them said that. They're like, now it's kind of made me enticed to go over there and do it. I'm like, well, everything in and out to do it. So
you've been ready for this your whole life.
That's right. That's right.
That's going to be on the bucket list, right?
That's right.
That's awesome. I want to back you up to that 1, 2, 3, 4 system, because we talk about a pre-match routine in baseball, softball. Talking about softball specifically. Right. There's so many instances where you need a routine, and the reason being, maybe you made a mistake and you're not thinking clearly, or you're not in the present moment. Right. I like the way you guys take the guesswork out offensively. Like, you're going to be doing this, 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 and this, and then go attack or whatever. And now they're not thinking so much about what could go wrong or how bad their game's been already. I mean, is that something you talk about too, like living in the present moment?
For sure. So you just talked about it being the present moment. Like, that's what the most important part is. So, because you talk about one pitch at a time, like how do you actually do one pitch at a time? Because you can say it all you want, but how do they really live it? And so when we are able to do the 1, 2, 3, 4, so when they know they're in their batter's box, it's like, do damage, do what you need to do at that time. And so that's the emphasis. And so we'll take that into practice. And so when we're doing, cage work that day, it's, hey, okay, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, set it up, and, think about this. And, so we're always trying to get them. So it's not just the game, but it's, you got to take it and teach them in practice too. Yeah. So that makes it much easier during the game time.
Yeah. It's mindset is trainable. When I started my coaching career not believing that, I thought that you were either you had it or you didn't have it. I learned it probably took 10, 15 years to figure out, no, this thing can really be built. And man, I wish I knew that a long time ago.
Right? I know. I always laugh. I'm like, gosh, I'm such a better coach than I was my first couple of years, like 10 years probably.
And you probably took it off of the outcomes of wins and losses and made it about the process of building those relationships and those procedures and just making them better women or whatever else you've coached. I know you've coached some golf. I guess it's always been my early days. You've always coached females?
Yes, always female. Yep. But it was, women's golf team back in Albion College. So, yeah.
That's another mental sport, right?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah. But that was even more fun because I would go out on the golf course and I would take them on. So that was more fun.
Yeah. You can only do so much at the softball. Yeah. Throw some BP or maybe take some BP. That's about it.
Right. Yeah. The throwing there, the hitting some of these pitchers, I'm like, I don't need to do that anymore.
It's too hard for me these days.
Right.
This has been great. Coach, what do you plan on incorporating in the future? Is there anything else that you would like to say to your team that, you hadn't been able to tell them at this point, or just anybody out there just wondering, what can I do during this time of uncertainty to get my focus right?
Right. Honestly, I think it's just reaching out to people. What I've learned the most during this time is everybody reacts differently and the emotions are much higher right now. And just how can you write? How can you just talk through things and listen to people? One of my players, I'll give you an example. One of my players was struggling a lot. And I'm like, I have to go over there. I know that we're not supposed to be going over there. And I called her mom and I said, is it all right if I come over? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, all right. She and I are going for a walk. And we went up on a 4-mile hike. And I was like, gee, many crickets. I didn't realize it was going to be 4 miles.
Hey, you are climbing mountains. You're good.
Yeah, right. It wasn't a mountain, thank goodness. It was more flat. But she just needed to talk. And that's the thing. We need to be better listeners. We need to make sure that we're reaching out to people that need to be reached out to. And, and I think that's really important. And I think it's important, too, that your players know how much that you're there for them. Just the other day, another player struggling. And it was funny. She ended her conversation by saying, "Coach, I love you." And I'm like, "I love you too. I'm so glad that we talked." Like it's just one of those things that we just need to listen. We need to be there for each other. And as far as future, like with our team, again, I just we put some things together, and we'll do a lot of similar things. The hard hat. We'll probably climb another mountain. But I think one of the things that I've learned is I need to slow down a little bit in the fall. I need to slow down. I need to do a little more of, let's just interact. We don't need to practice like, okay, let's go, 4 hours, or not 4 hours. We don't practice 4 hours, but let's go 2.5 hours, and let's go. No, let's just, maybe we need to sit down and talk today, and that's all right. And that's all right. So, because I think we're going to need a lot more of that, because this is, I think it's taken a toll emotionally on a lot of people. So.
It really has. And it's one thing after another. I mean, we won't get into current events because, quite frankly, I know I'm tired of hearing about it. So I really don't want to talk about it.
Right.
But coaches, we're building athletes to really, be the future leaders of this country. Right. And I can already tell that you're doing a great job. I hadn't known you long, but just the way I can see that compassion and that empathy and that love that you have for your players. And, I'd want my daughter to play for you. I can tell you that right now.
Oh, thank you. That's nice of you.
Hopefully she's good enough to do that one day.
There you go. Yes. I'm sure she will be.
Well, look, if there's anything you ever need at Mindset, free session or anything, I'd love to jump in and connect everybody together.
That would be awesome. Yeah, we would love that.
Yeah. I'll just let me know. And I appreciate your time. I think this is going to go viral.
All right. Well, thanks, Chase. Pretty
good. 2 million views, right?
What'd you say?
2 million views, right?
There you go. Yes, that would be sweet. Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time, Coach. Good luck to you. Good luck to your team.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.